The purpose was to stop beach driving, am I right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
To stop beach driving
Yeah.
because of, well, the obvious,
Yeah.
the turtles, the wildlife, the plants, the debris, the oil, the tar.
The oil, that's what gets me.
Yeah. I remember when I first moved here, I was walking down on Bethune Beach and I hit a pile of black and I had the tar on my leg and I couldn't get it off with anything. And my ex-husband was quite the MacGyver. He had a lot of chemicals in the house and I couldn't get it off with anything. And then my friend sold Amway and she had this product called Gel Bug and Tar Remover. It's the only thing that got it off.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So paint, thinner, mineral spirits, any of that stuff?
None of it was cutting through. I don't know what it was. I mean, it would get, like, we got some of it off, but there was this black stain that wouldn't go.
Yeah.
And you still get that, I mean, from time to time.
Time to time, you know.
Especially right after high tide, right?
Yeah, we get these northeast storms that blow a lot of stuff in. It's just terrible. Sometimes it's not bad, but a lot of times it'll all blow in from who knows where. We got the Gulf Stream that flows around the whole state, and they could be picking up stuff from who.
So, Mike, would you be able to possibly illustrate what the mandate of the Safari Club is then?
Well, we're basically a surf club, a bunch of old surfers basically trying to do good for the community, and our main thing is we have surf contests and collect funds and donations for a scholarship program that we have. And we this year we're donating $10,000 to I think we got 6 applicants already from New Smyrna High School.
Right on.
That's student science projects?
They're just students in general. They have to have good grades and surf. That's the only 2 requirements. And then they just apply.
So is there a website affiliated where people can look that up and possibly apply?
I think, yeah. Just go to safariclub.com. Safari Club.
Safariclub.com.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah. And that's definitely our organization. And other things, we do 4 times a year. We'll do a beach cleanup, and we have surf contests. We're having a big pro-am this year called the Mike Martin Pro-am. It's going to be up at the inlet in April.
Nice.
So that'll be interesting.
That's where we were the other day at the inlet. I told you they had the surfing contest right there at the jetty, right? Isn't it close to the jetty?
Right to the
Yeah.
jetty.
I've been to a few. They used to put those high-rise stands in or whatever.
We scaffold up. But that's April 28th, I think.
April's a great month, isn't it?
Yeah, good surf too.
Yeah. I love
Picked a
it.
good month for the surf.
Birthdays in April.
Right.
Everything's buzzing and chirping and blooming.
All the spring flowers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is South Atlantic Avenue turning into Turtle Mound, I believe.
Yep. Down here a few miles.
And this is why they call it New Smyrna Beach, because there's actually a beach side. Not as far out as in Cocoa Beach, but a bit separated from Edgewater, which is closer to
Bethune Beach.
the mainland, right?
But where we're
it's on the
going, it's on the mainland. There's a river that separates us, but what you got to understand about New Smyrna Beach is it's not actually connected. It's actually an island.
Right.
So New Smyrna Beach, you can only get here from the causeway. When you get down here, there's no way in or out but by boat, unless you go back on the main road.
Yes, ma'am.
And then when you get to Bethune, if you went directly due west, you'd be in Edgewater, which doesn't come all the way to the beach side.
Right.
There's no causeway in Edgewater.
So if you had a boat, you could do these things, but
Yep.
you'd need a boat.
Yep. Huge boating community, huge fishing community for
Sure is.
obvious reason. We're in the crown jewels here, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal.
Fish and other marine life ever tested for dioxins or pesticides?
They're tested frequently, right? I know
Yeah.
the dolphins
Well, they-
turned up with a virus not very long ago, the
Well,
bottlenose, right?
They tested a few months ago for the red tide, and it came up negative around here. It was pretty clean around here because Gulf Stream comes north and it kicks way out at the Cape. It's probably 40 miles from here, offshore. Down there it's probably 20. So they get a lot of stuff coming around out of the Gulf. The red tide really hit them hard down there. But it tested pretty clean up here. It's kind of a natural phenomenon. It's happened for many years. It just seems to be getting worse. That's the problem.
How was the experience with the red tide?
It was just a fish kill. We had dolphins and millions of fish.
Gosh.
How often does that occur?
Every few years. It's a natural occurrence in the ocean.
2013 was a bad one. 2016 was a bad one.
Yeah, sometimes they're just worse than others.
And here we are in 2019, so I guess if you go by that standard, maybe we're coming into another bad one. But
Well, last year was a bad one.
last year was bad, but that's because our brown tide met the red tide right there in Mosquito Lagoon.
Yep.
So they say this year the waters didn't get quite as cold. It's expected to be a much warmer year.
Yeah, so that'll allow.
And here we are coming into April, and that's when they expect it to start kicking back up, is April, May, and when the waters start warming.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty.
Because
pretty
of
warm
the lack
summer
of
this year.
oxygen in the water?
Yeah, it depletes the oxygen, correct?
Did you know what the relation between temperature and oxygen concentration in the water is, guys?
No.
I don't.
Well, I do know it.
You do?
Please
That's good.
share it.
Because that's what you learn when you study biology. It's a very, very interesting correlation. As a matter of fact, when you increase the temperature only 1 degree, you lose, you decrease the content of oxygen to 1/10 of what you had before. So every 1 linear degree is like an exponential decline. It's a horrific decline of oxygen content, and explains a lot of the problems that we have today in the oceans.
Fish kills.
Because we need the oxygen, and this is why all these shallow surface waters into the seasons start to change into a sulfuric metabolism. The water warms up, the oxygen disappears at an exponential rate with every degree we increase the temperature in the water, and then it's getting black because this is what you get, and it smells. I would understand that phenomena such as the red tide are pretty badly impacting tourism. I mean, people must be like,
Oh yeah, it did.
Last year, it really did. It was a major hit last year, I know. The entire state suffered.
Yeah, the Gulf Coast was really hit hard.
Now, it's interesting that you explain that, because that filled in a gap for me, because I'm not the scientific person, but I can grasp it fairly well, but I'm not the scientific person. However, what I have found is in our canals, for instance, you get the green muck that's on top, right?
Yeah.
From the cut grass, from the fertilizers, from various types of algae and plant life. Anyway, we're about 90% coverage down there on any given day, unless it's windy or it's low tide or it's raining. But it's pretty much 90% coverage in the canals, and that blocks the sunlight.
Yeah.
That changes everything, and it does become an acidic cesspool. And nothing. What can live? There's such a delicate balance and harmony, and it's like you were describing. If you take just the smallest increment away, it makes a huge impact, a long-lasting impact, actually, because fish die, sea life die, and as they die, they create nutrients and bacteria that further complicates the mix. So now you've got a toxic soup.
Yeah.
And let's not even talk about the fertilizers and runoff, and oh good God, we could go all day.
Yeah. That's what they need to take care of.
That's the worst. As far as I'm concerned, I'll work till the day I die to get the plastic up, because I know it'll never end.
Yeah.
But God help us, just ban the straws, ban the fertilizers, do the obvious, do the responsible.
Plastic bags.
Single-use plastics. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we need them to a degree, but I mean, do we? I mean, maybe not.
We can make them out of degradable materials today.
We
Of
can,
course.
and of course, as soon as you give an option, the first clip back you're going to get is cost. What's the cost of not having our environment?
Yeah.
Well, also, it is a real, in my eyes, it's a real pseudo argument, because what businessman questions the value of an investment? You know, you have to see it as an investment. If you spend that money today, you will have a lot greater benefits in the future.
Sure.
In
Clean
a
environment.
monetary, measurable way. This is not some fictive ideal paradise that we're trying to build. It's just, you know, to preserve the attractivity for tourism. I don't know if that's just in my head, but I personally didn't feel attracted to swimming in the waters that I've seen around here at all. I'm actually shocked how bad the water quality looks. Maybe that's just because I'm ignorant, but I'm sure we can explain that a little later down the road. Well, from what I know is, and what people are telling me is that the place is less and less attractive to tourism from Europe, which is still an interesting marketplace for Florida tourism, I would think, Florida tourism, because it's close. You just have to hop across the Atlantic and you're there, you know, it's not that far away from Europe. And there's a lot of connections between Germany and North America, just to, you know, point out the case that I know a little bit. Don't you feel concerned about the business impact that this negligence actually entails? I mean, sorry to be blunt about it, but I think it's an outrage. Probably you get that the way I'm asking, but I feel this is not in the business interest of the community here, right?
Not in the best interest in any sense.
No.
Not in the best and not in the business interest.
Well, when you live on the water, regardless of whether you work in politics, medicine, or agriculture, or fishing, or the fishing industry, the bottom line is your livelihood depends on the water, because your clientele's livelihood depends on the water, and that's just the way it is. Your life depends on the water. Our fish, our groundwater comes from the soil. It's all intertwined, and you can't cherry pick it. You just can't.
Yeah.
Everything overlays.
It's all encompassing.
Yep.
You have to respect it all or none. You know, I mean, if you're
They have the best meteor showers down here. The best view of the meteor shower, I think.